Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Jamie here with another Soul to Sisterhood interview with Gabby. I am so excited to get to introduce this beautiful and inspiring young woman. I have known Gabby for many years, and she has always been one of those kiddos who has chosen to do what is right versus what is easy. And we all know that that sometimes is not easy. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Gabby. Hey, Gabs.
Hi, thank you for having me in this interview. I'm very excited to do this. I'm really happy that I am a part of this project because I think it's just really, really cool. It's really cool to be a part of. I think it's a great project, and like the book would be something that I would totally love to read just on my own. And I think that it's really, really awesome that I actually get to be a part of it. And I think it's a really
Aw.
cool what you're doing. So I just like to say thank you for having
Oh, honey, thank you. Thank you for being a part of the project. I mean, Gabs, in your story and in your life, because I'm lucky enough to get to be around you quite a bit, you are one of those people that you really speak up for animals and you speak up for Mother Earth. And you talk about this a lot in the book. Where did that come from? And where does this value and this importance for animals and the earth, where does that come from?
Well, ever since I was like, I can remember, like tiny Gabby, I've always just felt this connection to creatures, and there have been many points in my life where I actually liked animals a lot more than people, and I just think that I love animals so much. They're just so incredible and crazy, and I love how diverse they are. Like some of them can fly across the sky, and some of them can like run super fast across the world, and some of them could breathe underwater. It's just so they're so diverse and cool and incredible, and I feel such an attachment to them that whenever I see them getting hurt, I get absolutely horrified. I don't like watching people mistreat animals, and I am a person that if I see someone smushing a bee, I will get angry. I will totally call them out for it. I was like, don't do that, not cool, don't do that. And I also spend a lot of my time, every time I go into a pool, I have to spend at least 5 minutes rescuing spiders and bees from the water.
Gabs, you have such a big heart. You know, you say in your story too that when you see someone kicking a tree, you say, stop that. When you hurt Mother Earth, you hurt yourself. Where did that belief system come from?
Okay, so I was lucky enough to be raised along a lot of people that taught me, like you and my mom, that just taught me to respect the earth, and I was raised along this belief, and I'm so happy that I was, because not very many people have respect or realize that the earth is such a incredible place that's definitely influences our lives. We're just living on this earth. It's not, the earth was not made for us. We're just inhabitants upon it. And I think that people need to start understanding, because no one really realizes that, oh yeah, I mean, I have this water bottle. I'm just going to throw it on the ground, but it's not a big deal because it's just one water bottle. But then if everyone thinks that way, it's millions of water bottles. And that just influences the earth very negatively. Like all the waste in the world, the trash across the oceans that are killing animals in the sea, people don't really seem to realize. They're like, oh, this is happening, but it's going to keep getting worse if we don't do something about it. And it's not just like an event that doesn't matter. It's definitely influential on our lives, and people don't really, people need to start understanding that when you hurt the earth, you hurt yourself. So if that's the only motive that you can think of to actually do something about it, you need to channel that, because it's not going to do any good. So like if we keep hurting the earth like we are right now, all that's going to happen is we're just going to end up having very negative lives, and the world is not going to go very well.
Wow. You know, Gabs, you're right. I mean, when we think about how connected we are to the earth and what a gift it is to get to live here, when we hurt her, we do hurt ourselves. And that kind of dovetails nicely into the next thing I want to talk about that you share so wisely from your story is about this connection to technology. And I'm quoting you directly from your story in the book. And you say, when we get so dedicated and wrapped up in dedicated to and wrapped up in technology, we just assume that everything's going to be available to us all the time. And we stop our connection to the natural world. Can you talk more about what that means for you?
Just in this in this decade, at least how I've been growing up, it's just been so heavily spun around technology. Like I grew up, people around me when I was like 7 started having phones. Like I was 7, people started getting phones, and it was just this. It's this huge thing that everyone's just so obsessed with is having a phone and having an iPad and having a computer and having a TV, and people just rely on them so heavily that if something were to happen and all the technology were not to just didn't work anymore, we would not be in a very good place, because we would just we rely on it so much that, like, oh, okay, I don't have a washing machine, how am I supposed to wash my clothes? Or, oh, I don't have a refrigerator, how am I supposed to keep this food cold? Like, we rely on it so much that we forget to try to learn how to live without it. And if we did have to live without it, we just wouldn't really do very well. And I also think that people spend way too much time on their phones specifically, especially at my age right now. Everyone's just glued to their phones constantly, to the point where most schools have a no phone rule, because they know that if they didn't, then kids would just be on their phones all class long. And I don't think really people play off the fact that it has negative effects on people. People just play that off, and especially kids, like they're like, oh, well, my mom says that it's bad for me, but it's just her trying to make sure I go play outside. But I think it really is important for people to try to not spend all their time on their phones, because it really badly influences you, especially social media. Because even though a lot of people go on social media these days to try to make them like look into other people's lives who they think are just so great, their lives are so great, because they make it look like they are on the camera, and they just make it look like they have incredible lives where nothing ever goes wrong. And people are like, oh, I wish that my life was like that, my life's so boring. But you don't realize that their lives are just the same as yours. It's just that they post it because they want to spread positive vibes. Yeah.
So you bring up a great point. Do you feel like social media makes kids grow up too fast?
Yes, definitely. I was having this conversation with my mom the other day. How after everyone started getting phones, children started changing. Like around me, I could see it. So whenever, especially now that I'm in middle school, when I was in elementary school, we spent our time, like, when you're in elementary school, you spend your time like at recess, like playing games with each other, like playing tag, chasing each other around. And I really miss that, because now when you go to your friend's house now, you just like sit and talk about things, and people are just so worried about kids my age are always stressed about random stuff, and sometimes it's like really important things, and then sometimes it's just things like, oh, I don't have anyone to take to the dance on Friday, I don't want to go alone. And that's just I kind of miss being able to go into the American Girl doll store and spend hours looking around at the dolls, or spend an entire recess chasing each other around. I really miss that, because I agree for sure. Social media definitely makes people grow up really fast. Yeah.
What is important about getting outside and playing?
I just, it's definitely physically good for you. And it's very important to be able to go outside and experience the world around you, because contrary to popular belief, watching a video of like a waterfall is not just as good as going outside and seeing a waterfall. Definitely not as good. And it's very important that people keep going outside and experiencing the world. And I also think that it's important for people for like at least maybe an hour or two a day to just put everything aside and go outside and just have some fun and laugh, because laughing is definitely important. And it's so enjoyable. People don't realize how enjoyable it is. Like, you might be like, oh, I don't want to play soccer right now, it's too hot outside. And then but it's so fun once you get into it, and it's just spending time with people, like running around. And I really miss doing that with my friends. I really
Yes,
miss.
I had a question for you. When you're outside, can you feel how much Mother Earth loves you?
I would say, yeah, actually. I feel specifically like when you think about it, it's so cool how what Earth gives to you. Like you don't really people usually don't see Earth as like a being like it is. And I think that a lot of times in order to channel that connection to Earth, you need to think of it as a being, like as an actual maybe person. That's why I think Mother Earth is such an incredible thing, because a like version of the Earth, because it just makes people realize that like the Earth technically in my mind has feelings. Like if you harm it, it's gonna have to come back at you. And if you treat it nicely, it's gonna reward you. People need to start spending more time thinking of Earth as an actual being and not just this thing that we're walking around on. It's important that people try to feel a connection to Earth because it's so beautiful. Like it's just such a beautiful place, and it's so incredible that we get to live here.
I know we talked about technology and trying to figure out that balance, being a middle schooler now and seeing your friends,
Yes.
on their phones so much. But you also talk in your story that you have so much faith in kids today. You have faith that they can make different decisions. You have faith that they will make the change that needs to come about for our world to be better. Can you talk about that faith that you have in kids today?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um, I think that especially recently, this faith has gone up a lot because I feel like adults at least kind of dismiss, especially kids, kind of most adults dismiss kids because like, oh, they're kids, they don't know everything, they're not done with school, they don't understand very much. And I think that people need to start trying to have more faith in us, because we're kind of the people that are gonna have to try to reshape this earth. And I feel like I've been putting a lot more faith in people right now, just people in general, because of the fact that for the longest time I just didn't register in my mind that I have a lot of diverse feelings, but that's just unique to me. It's not like anyone else has crazy diverse feelings, which I think it's important to try to realize that you're not the only person that's so complex, and just because you don't get to see other people's views doesn't mean that they have all these crazy feelings. For example, I have been told by multiple people that I come off as intimidating and like cold because of the fact that during like school hours I'm very quiet and I kind of keep to myself for the most part. And I also have like my resting face is it seems like angry. And so I think, but it's crazy to me that people think this because that's not what's going on in my head. I'm not like looking around like, oh, these people are annoying. I'm not thinking about that at all. I have such diverse thoughts, and it's really cool. It's cool and also weird to think about the fact that people think that I'm just intimidating and like I don't really like people because that's not what's going on in my head at all.
Well, that's beautiful wisdom to share, not judging a book by its
Yeah, try not
cover.
to judge by what you see because it's
Yeah.
probably not accurate for the most part.
You talk in your story about the importance of including others and why that's important to you. Can you share a little bit about that, how that's impacted your life when you've stepped out of your comfort zone to include somebody that you thought was maybe being left out?
Mhm. Um, I feel like a lot of kids, I've been in this scenario many times as well, where like you don't want to be rude, but when someone tries to join your game, you feel reluctant to let them because of the fact that you're nervous that they're going to change, like they're going to change whatever you're doing and you're going to make things different. I have a little bit of an issue that I don't talk about much, but I'm comfortable with it, so it's okay. I have this a little bit of a jealousy issue. It's gotten a lot better, but where I get really nervous that if I invite new people into my life and I introduce them to my friends, that my friends are gonna end up liking them better than me, and then I get kind of nervous about that and a little bit jealous when people hang out together. But you need to try to put your things aside, and once again bringing up the fact that you don't really realize what is going on in people's heads until you actually get to know them, that you need to try to learn things about the person and like actually get to know a person before you dismiss them as being like a candidate, I guess, for being a person in your life, because you don't just because don't judge people based on what you think about them, because you don't know them at all. And being included I know for a fact, because this happened to me, being included in a game, like going up to someone and asking if they can be included and them accepting you for sure, like being like, oh yeah, of course, come on. That's one of the best things that can happen to a person, especially that of one that doesn't have very many friends. It's just such a wonderful feeling to be accepted, just in general. But it's so, you need to if you need to think about how much that person is going to be affected by you just saying, yeah, sure, come play with me. Like, that's really cool how much you can affect someone just by saying, yeah, sure, come hang out with us. And by just missing them, it's kind of just not really accepting them and not learning and to try not attempting, not putting in your effort to learn things about them. And it's definitely important to me, at least, that before I dismiss someone, I need to actually know who they are. And just you don't know how much it will impact your life if just a simple, yeah, sure, come play with us. That can impact your life so much more than you would anticipate. And you should just try to say yes to people, because it's not gonna do any bad. It's just making them happier and including them in something that they didn't think they would be included in.
Oh, Gabs, thank you for being so honest and vulnerable. Honey, what you said, I think a lot of us feel like that. It is scary to invite somebody new into
Yeah.
a friendship and then think, uh-oh, what if this new person and my friend, my BFF get along better than my BFF?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but having the big heart to be able to stand firm in your truth, that you know it's still so important to extend the hand of friendship no matter what's going on inside, and including people. Thank you so much for being honest with me about that and for our video. I really appreciate it, honey.
I try to be honest whenever I can. I
How do you
just think
do
that
that?
being dishonest. It's hard, I guess. I feel like I've kind of developed a little habit of lying, and every single time I notice that I lie about something, I just feel kind of disappointed in myself, especially if I'm lying about something that doesn't matter. Like it's a different scenario if you're lying to try to protect someone, but I've picked up on myself just kind of lying about little tiny things that don't really matter if I'm not lying about it. It's not important. And I feel like lying can lead to a lot worse than just telling the truth. For example, if you break something, like just say you broke like something of your parents' possession and you said, "Oh no, I didn't break that." And then they go on this huge tangent trying to figure out who broke it, and they maybe like they blame a sibling or something, and then your sibling gets so upset because they think that she did it even though they did nothing wrong, and it ends up causing a lot worse pain, I guess, than it does originally. Because if you just come clean in the beginning, it's not going to be as bad as if you hold off and don't tell them immediately and then confess to it. Lying doesn't do good, and I try not to do it. I've noticed that I've also gotten better because I only lie. If I end up lying, it's only about little tiny things, which I still am trying to get better at. I just kind of do it without realizing it. I'm just like, oh, but also I'm bad at lying, which is good because it means I don't do it as much. Because as soon as I lie, I'm like, I start smiling and I get nervous.
I have a question for you. When it comes to things like being vulnerable and being honest, what would you like adults to know?
Um, I would like people to know that I people understand things a lot more than you think that they will. Especially, I understand what what happens when how hard it is to open up and feel vulnerable around people, especially exposing your vulnerability to other people, because it just makes you, in the beginning it's really scary to try to express yourself to other people because you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know if they're going to accept you or if they're going to turn away from you, and especially depending on the person you are. Like, I am a very secluded person by nature, and I have a very hard time trusting someone. Like, I can't really just be like, oh yeah, hello, I trust you. I need someone to prove to me that I can trust them. And I try to get better at that. I always try to see the best in people because you never know what's happening, and I believe that there's no such thing as a bad person or a good person. I think that people just have bad actions and good actions and bad thoughts and good thoughts. And overall, anyone can recover from anything. And it's important to try to see the best in others and also yourself. And no matter who it is, it's important to express yourself and talk about things that are bothering you. Like, you need to make sure you don't bottle up feelings inside of you. And if you can confide in anyone, like a therapist or your parents or a close friend of yours, or if you're comfortable expressing it with the world, then that's awesome. And or even if it's just like talking to a pet or writing something in a journal and then like burning the pages, as soon as you get something out of your system, instead of bottling up, even if no one's listening, just talking out loud, just getting it out of your system, it's like a huge incredible feeling. Like, it's just kind of like you finally get to stop holding things up and you get to rest, and it does help a lot. You just need to make sure that you can trust the people that you're talking to and that you're comfortable with talking to the people you're talking to. So if you're comfortable with sharing it with the whole world, that's awesome. And if you're not and you just want to talk to a close family member, that's also awesome. It doesn't matter, as long as you make sure you don't bottle things up. That's important.
Wow, Gabs, you have shared so much amazing stuff. I mean, thinking about being authentic and being vulnerable in a way that feels most comfortable for each of us. I mean, that's something that I feel like everybody can benefit from, no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. So, in closing, because you have such a strong spirit for advocacy, what do you want to do going forward with your life when it comes to advocating for what you believe in?
Um, I don't really know. I don't have a set like goal for the future. My goal in life is to have a successful life. And by successful, I don't mean be really be rich or get a good job. I by successful to be successful, in my opinion, to be successful, all you need to do is succeed your goals, and that's it. Even if it's just, you can be successful if you're like, okay, you know what I want to do with my life? I just want to open a veterinarian office, and that's your goal. And just as long as you succeed that goal, and that's your huge goal for life, even if you don't do very much, then I think that you'd be successful. So what makes you successful is succeeding your goals. So you can have a bunch of goals, you can have one long-term goal, you can have small goals. As long as you do what you want to do, then I would count you successful, as long as you're exceeding what your goals. And my goal for the future is just to I want to experience things, and I want to laugh, I want to cry, I want to experience everything. I want to make sure that I always see the best in people and help people, and any chance that I can get, I want to do things that I wouldn't usually consider doing, like, skydiving. That would terrify me, but I want to do it anyway, just to experience it and see what happens. And I want to try a lot of different things. Like, I feel like when it comes to careers, I'm gonna do a lot of different things, because I like to experience, like, I like diversity in my life, and I like to kind of bounce along from passions and stuff. And I just want to make sure that I always want to have passions and goals. That's what's most important to me, is that I always hold on to my passions and keep them close and do whatever I feel passionate about. I want to make sure that I always have goals. Like, no matter what, I always want to have a goal, no matter how small or big it is. And then I want to have like I want to make my own family. Like, it doesn't have to be blood related. I'm not talking about married and kids or whatever. I want to have a family or a community of people that I love. I want to meet tons of people and just have a family and people that I can confide in and just always enjoy being around. That's very important to me. That's something that I definitely need to say that I have had a full life.
Wow, honey. So it sounds like for you, a successful life is going to be a life of love,
Yes, exactly.
a life of connection, and a life of being authentic to yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, honey. Gabby, thank you so much for doing this interview with me today. Thank
Well,
you for letting me be a part of your life.
Thank you for being in my life. I really appreciate it.
Well, as your mama's soul sister, it's been my pleasure to watch you grow to today at 12. And then I can't wait to see what kind of magic you are going to create with your fellow next generation folks. Because like you said, you do have faith in this generation of kiddos to start to make some differences. And I believe that together we're all going to make differences and
Yeah.
hopefully have similar life goals of being loving and compassionate and connected to each other, to our earth, and to every living thing. Yes. All right, sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you for being a
Oh,
part of
thank
the project.
you. Thank you for
Any
letting me.
any final words?
Um, okay, this is my final words. So I just want to say to everyone in the world ever that's ever watching this, and you and myself, that just to try to be the best person you can be. That doesn't mean be the most good person, I guess. Just be the best person that you can be. Make sure that you always love yourself, and make sure that you give yourself what you need to move on, because one of people's worst critics is yourself, and you need to make sure that you motivate yourself just like anyone you love would. You need to make sure that you always have faith in yourself. You need to make sure that you're always trying to succeed in life, and even if you give up, that's okay, as long as you try to recover. I mean, today I was stretching, and I've always been really tight in my hamstrings, and I've always felt not motivated at all to stretch, because of the fact that everyone around me was always better at flexibility than I was. Today I had a meltdown because felt so bad about myself because I couldn't stretch, and I kind of gave up. But I'm going to try tomorrow. I'm going to try again tomorrow, and I'm just going to keep trying my best so that I can move forward and actually get somewhere. And that's what you need to do. And everyone's going to give up. Everyone's going to cry. Everyone's going to scream in frustration. You just need to try to move on and make sure that you are true to yourself and true to the life around you. And you need to make sure that you experience your life to the best that you can. And also, there's always a person that loves you. It's literally impossible for there not to be. And if that you can't think of anyone, I love you so very much, and it's very important that you need to remember that there's always people that care about you and love you, and I love and care about everyone. So just live your life.
Oh, yeah. Mic drop. That was awesome, baby. I love you.
Love you too.
Namaste, sweet sister. I'm so grateful for you, Gabby.
So grateful for you.